they surround themselves with.
Talk, sir.
You in the house, sir.
At the end of the day, I see your kids twice a week. I see them today on Sundays. I see them if they come on Tuesday nights.
That's right. Talk.
I might see them at their games. I might see them at their events. But at the most, I only get the opportunity to see them twice a week.
That's right.
And regardless of what I say, regardless of what I might pour into them, at the end of the day, they gotta walk out that door and face the reality of the culture that they surround themselves with.
That's right.
So today, if you can't tell by the shirt, there was a movie that came out about 26 years ago.
Good movie, sir.
Raise your hand if you've seen Boys in the Hood.
Yes, sir.
Now, where's E Money at? I call him E Money because he preached a sermon one time that was right on the money for me. So I called him E Money ever since. Amen. But there you go. Hey, man, do me a favor. Raise your hands one more time. Raise your hands one more time. Everybody that didn't raise their hand, we might have to revoke their black card. We might have to do that today. I need count. Classic movie. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Trey. For those of you that have seen Boys in the Hood. I'm going to talk about Trey Styles today and see if we can shift the culture that you guys have realized. If you don't take notes on any other Sunday, for my kids, not the adults, but for my kids, if you don't take notes on any other Sunday, I'm going to give you 3 things to write down today that'll help you out tonight, and that'll help you out going forward. So we're going to see how this goes. So, Trey, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to say it, something that everybody has. Trey is a young boy that's growing up in South Central Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
They start his life out at the age of 10, 11 years old. And he's a young boy in school. He's growing up with his mom. His mom is a single mother. And he's educated, he's bright, he's smart, but he has attitude problem. And he likes to be a class clown. So Trey acts out in school, he acts out in class, and he had a history of behavior issues. Trey ends up getting into a fight, gets suspended from school. When Trey gets home, the one thing I examine about Trey's life is a lot of us, even a testament to myself. I saw some of myself in this. I was comfortable with my mother, not because my mother wasn't disciplined, she was very belt happy. You know, my mother disciplined us when we needed to be disciplined. She was a great mother. But I was comfortable because my mother also spoiled me. So I can get away with a lot of stuff, and I know my sister's smiling somewhere because her and my brother always say I'm the spoiled one, but hey, I'm the baby, everybody can have that, right? but my mother also spoiled me, so even if I got in trouble in school, even if I was talking, I felt comfortable with my surroundings. So his mom made a shift and understood that in order for him to get to where he needs to go, she needs to shift his culture. So his mother decides that he needs to go live with his father, much to his dismay. He didn't want to go live with his father. Why did he want to go live with his father? Exactly. His father, Furious Styles, it's a dope name, I love that name. Furious Styles. His father is a man's man. Like he's a disciplined one.
Yeah.
And more so, his father established in him what his mother couldn't, and that was fear. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the fear that you're gonna get your teeth knocked down your throat, even though that helps at times. For boys, for men, a lot of times we need that fear.
Come on, sir.
And so he goes and he moves with his father. Now, in between this time, even while he's with his father, Trey sees a lot of things. Trey sees a murder scene. Trey sees a fight. Trey sees his boys stealing and get caught stealing, get arrested. And Trey also sees a dead body. But in the midst of all of that, there's a scene where Trey and his dad go fishing.
Yeah.
And Trey is learning some principles about life from his dad.
Talk, sir.
When Trey first gets to his dad's house, the first thing Trey does is what? Who said it? My man. My man. Trey, he makes Trey rake leaves in his good clothes.
That's good, sir.
Because he had just got in trouble in school, number one, and number two, he wanted to teach him responsibility. When he gets in the house, he makes sure Trey knows the rules of the house, the things that Trey has to do each and every day. On top of that, he's spending quality time with him to teach him those principles. So the first thing is, in order to have a great culture, you need to have a good set of principles. Now, principles are not just what you have written down. Principles are not just what you live, but principle is what the village around you lives. So do me a favor, in 2018, and this is not a direct shot at anybody, this is for all of us, for us to get better, right?
Yeah.
Don't come to me about your kids smoking weed if you still smoke weed too. Don't come to me about your kids having sex when you have men and women running in and out of the house every week.
Preach.
Don't come to me being judgmental when the same things that you criticize your kids over you've done or are currently doing yourself. Everybody in here has a testimony. Everybody in here has learning lessons. But as much as energy as we have, I don't have the energy to put up with something, because today is not, this generation is not prone to, I do this because I'm grown. Because that feeds the mentality, oh, okay, when I turn 18, I get to do all of these things. This doesn't work anymore. So if you're doing something and your kids is doing the same thing, I need you to examine yourselves. See, the same thing about it is no matter what Trey saw on the outside, Trey had a father at home that showed him the right way to do things. Trey had a strong village. He had a mother that was striving to get her education and striving to get her master's degree. His father had his own business with a man that went to an army. Because he had Trey early at 17 years old and figured out he needed to do something with his life.
That's right.
Somebody say principles. Next thing, they fast forward to 11 years later in Trey's life. 7. This is after Doughboy gets arrested. Doughboy was actually my favorite character. I just wanted to throw that out there. So this is after Doughboy gets arrested. Doughboy comes on. At this point, he's in and out of jail. And at this point, he's a senior in high school. You know, he got his friend Ricky that's trying to go to USC and play football. You know, he got Doughboy that's chilling, drinking 40s, old English, you know, just chilling on the porch. You know, they got Chris that's at this time, he's in a wheelchair because, you know, the activities that him and Doughboy was doing.
That's right.
So Trey, at this point, he's trying to go to college. He's trying to make something out of himself. And he come across what I like to call an X factor. Somebody say X factor.
X factor.
So you have parents that teach you the right way to do things, and even as they struggle in trying to do those things. But I believe every village needs an X factor. Now, there was one, I'm going to dive off the road real quick, and I'm going to come back.
All right.
Zach, if you feel me, I need you to hit that organ one time when I say this. Now, Trey, even though Doughboy was my favorite character,
okay,
I kind of wanted to be like Trey.
okay.
Here's the reason why I wanted to be like Trey. This is that old. Trey's girlfriend was Nia Long. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, as a kid, this ain't gonna sound right, but when I saw Nia Long the first time I realized Jesus was alive and well. I was like, maybe my mom was trying to get me to get baptized at the time. I said, maybe I do need to get baptized. You know? I mean, you know, but with that being said, just to get back on. Brandy, her name is Brandy in the movie. Brandy was the X factor for Trey, right? Because Brandy was the girl that he was in love with, right? See, at that time, you know, and just like in this day and age, and as I mentioned in my last sermon, you know, man, we deal with dots and etc. So you got all types of girls, you know, saying trying to get Trey because of what Trey resembles and how Trey handles himself. Trey can dress. You know, Trey's a good-looking dude. That's Trey is something that he has a future, a bright future ahead of him, right?
Right.
And Brandy was his X factor Because on top of his dad and on top of his mom wanted him to be successful, he knew that Brandy had a set of standards. Brandy upheld herself. He couldn't come at Brandy any type of way, right? Brandy held him accountable for his actions, right? In order for him to get with her. Brandy made sure he was doing good in school.
That's good, sir.
When Trey was taking the SAT, who was one of the first persons he looked at? Brandy. So X Factor is my second thing. Now, every village needs a X Factor. The X Factor is the person that not necessarily is your mother or your father, but an important part of your life that you look up to, that you don't want to fail them. You want to be successful for them because they poured so much into you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a girlfriend. For me, growing up, my X Factor, I had to be like 6, 7 years old. And I'm chilling in my room, I'm playing PlayStation. And all of a sudden I hear some music outside. And so I'm like, okay. I run to the door and I open the door.
Talk, sir.
And I see this black Volkswagen with some black rims. And I'm like, yo, that car's pretty dope. I'm like, who is that? And then the man inside wanted to take my sister to prom. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay. Now it worked out because it just so happened that they went on to be married and now I've been married for 23 years. But Malcolm was my X Factor. Now, with Malcolm,
that's dope.
He's the quiet man that y'all see. He's no different outside. Malcolm is just as quiet inside and outside. You know, we talk because he have a relationship, but Malcolm don't know you. Malcolm ain't talking to you. I mean, it's just what it is. But with Malcolm, Malcolm didn't have to say a word to me. We can have a conversation, that's about it, but Malcolm didn't have to say a word. The reason why Malcolm didn't have to say a word was because his actions was the X Factor for him. I saw Malcolm as a husband and one day wanted to be that type of husband because I saw how happy he made my sister. I saw Malcolm as a worker. Malcolm didn't go to college, no, but Malcolm worked every day of his life hard. I don't recall Malcolm calling out one day just because. I recall Malcolm going to apprenticeship school to better himself. I recall Malcolm working full-time every day of his life outside. I saw the work ethic that Malcolm had. I saw the person that he was. I saw how humble he was. I saw his heart and how he was so generous to help people out. And Malcolm didn't have to say a word. And so I didn't want, on top of my mother, on top of my father, on top of my family, I really looked up to Malcolm. And I didn't want to fail him, so Malcolm was an X Factor. Somebody say X Factor. Now the last thing, and I'm gonna make this quick, like I said, because I don't want to be here all night. I mean all day. Y'all gotta come back here tonight.
You good.
Trey, if we just fast forward just a little bit, there's an incident. It's two moments, you know how men say it's not okay to cry and all this other stuff. It's two moments where it's perfectly fine to cry. When Mufasa died in Lion King. And when Ricky got shot. So they get into an incident on Crenshaw. And a blood bumps into Ricky. They get into an altercation. For those of you who had a misinterpretation of what Jesus meant by turn the other cheek, that might have been it. Because had Ricky ignored the situation, Ricky probably would have went on to college.
Wow.
Ricky fed into the situation, got into a back and forth argument. All Doughboy needed was a reason. Doughboy, all he needed was a reason. So Doughboy gets out the car, shows the gun, like, what's up? Do we got a problem? Do we got a problem? And they leave, shots ring out, everybody dips and leaves, right? Same moment, they get pulled over by a cop. Cop presses them, put a gun to his face, and etc. Right? So we fast forward to the next day, and Trey is at Doughboy and Ricky's house. Doughboy has animosity towards Ricky because he feels like his mother is showing favoritism towards Ricky. Doughboy and Ricky end up getting into a fight, and then afterwards Ricky and Trey go to the store. They go to the store to get some cornmeal for his girl because the girl was in the kitchen frying fish. So on the way back, Ricky's scratching lottery tickets, and then all of a sudden they look to the left and they see the same car that rung out shots the night before. They cut through some houses and they decide to split up. Trey looks back, sees the car, and Ricky gets shot. So Shane asked me a question. Shane was like, Steve, because Shane just saw the movie for the first time 3 weeks ago. So Shane asked me, Shane was like, Steve, why ain't nobody call the police? Why didn't nobody call the cops? And I told her, I said, because number one, they in the hood, two, they probably had some charges out on them, so they took Ricky home. So in the span of 24 hours, Trey witnesses, he gets pulled over by a cop, he gets pressed by a cop, he gets shot at. He sees his best friends get murdered in cold blood. He sees Doughboy and Ricky getting to fighting, and they never really got the opportunity to hash out that situation. Trey's so filled up with emotion, before he leaves out the house, tells Doughboy, meet me at my house in 5 minutes. He tried to walk out with a gun in his hand. His father stops him and was able to get the gun away from him. Brandy walks into the house afterwards looking for Trey, only to see Trey boy hopping in the car with Doughboy and they take off. So pretty much Chris, the man that's in the wheelchair, he's like, man, like he already knows what's about to happen. So they riding out at night and they looking for him. I forgot my man's name, but he's in the front loading up the gun. And they pretty much looking for him, ready to go to work. Trey? Huh? Monster, that's right, his name, thank you, Monster. So, as they riding, loading the gun in the saddle, all of a sudden they show Trey's father, sitting there waiting for his son to come home. But they show Trey starting to tear up. And Trey uttered 3 words that changed his life forever. Trey looked at Doughboy and said, let me out. Now, my man Dookie and the pacifier turned around and looked at Trey like he was foolish. I just call it Ice Cube. Doughboy looks at Trey like, really? Like, you the one that told me to come to your house? Right. Like, really? And so Doughboy just keep driving. And so Trey looks at Doughboy and said, Doe, let me out. Doughboy proceeds to let him out. They find the killers who killed his brother, killed him, and they took off. And I don't necessarily shed a tear at Ricky getting shot. I shed a tear when Trey and Doughboy have a conversation the next morning on the porch.
Oh, come on, sir.
And the reason why that scene right there is one of the most emotional scenes I've ever seen is because they both know their future. For those of you that watch The Wire, it's like that moment when Barksdale and when Avon and Stringer, when they knew what they was about to do. In that moment, they both knew their future. Doughboy knew that people was gonna come after him and try to murder him for what he did. Doughboy came to the realization that he felt like he had no love. Trey looking at Doughboy, he realizes pretty much what's about to happen. Tells him he has one brother left before he leaves. Doughboy, not only does he come to the realization of what might happen, but it's almost as if Doughboy is taking a turn. Doughboy makes the comment, either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood. He tells Trey that it was good that he wasn't even in the car. And the third thing that you need to write down is realization. Everybody needs a moment when they realize that what they're about to do is simply not worth it. Our kids are going to make mistakes. If we just being honest, I'll pray to God it doesn't happen, but some are going to lose their virginity before they get married. Some are gonna get caught selling drugs. Some might go to jail, and I might get a call to bail somebody out. But the one thing I'm honestly not built for is the phone call that one of my kids have been murdered. The one thing I'm not built for is getting a call that one of my kids died in a car accident, or one of my kids have committed suicide, or anything like that. I'm simply not built for. And kids are gonna make mistakes. They're gonna be kids. But when is that moment when you realize that what you're about to do is either gonna end your future quick, or you can get out. You can say, hey, let me out of this situation. And you can go on and make your family proud. I believe when Trey was in that car, Trey realized that he had a college education to look forward to. That he had a father that did everything he could to take him in. And if he gets caught murdering somebody, then he proves his mother right. And his mother gets filled with guilt because maybe I shouldn't have left him with his dad. He has a girlfriend, his X factor, that he wants to make proud. Yeah. He's trying to actually do something with his life, and if he seeks revenge, then it's all over. And everybody should have a moment when they realize, okay, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay maybe to do the wrong thing. I've seen pictures with gang signs. I've seen pictures with drugs. I've seen videos of twerking. And I'm okay because when I was a kid, I did some foolish things too. But I just pray that when the moment comes when you realize that it's about to be over, if I continue following down this direction, that you realize that you need to make God proud and say, let me out. Everybody stand. This was very different. Like I said, I didn't come from the text. If you came to, hear a word from the Bible, I do apologize for that. This was different.
Don't apologize.
Still got a word.
But like I said in the beginning, I needed to meet my kids where they are. I pride myself on not being judgmental. When I see certain things and they maybe shouldn't be doing, like cursing and stuff like that, I'm not judgmental because I've been there. Like I said, my kids are gonna make mistakes. But when it comes to that moment when they realize what they're doing might end their future, it's the principles and everything that we establish in them that kicks in that moment. But at this time, what we're gonna do is, I'm not gonna ask anybody to walk up. What I'm gonna do is everybody bow your heads and close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Bow your head and close your eyes. We can pour into you, but we can't save you. We can guide you, but we can't save you. We can lead you, but we can't save you. And even if you come to a moment where you realize the next steps in your life are about to be critical, and you pick up the phone and call me, or you call your mom, or you call your dad, or you call whoever your X factor is, or whoever you look up to, we can give you some directions, we can guide you out, but we can't save you. What this moment right here is about is making the number one person that you call on, the number one person that you talk to, the number one person you listen to is God himself. So if you would like to make a change in your life, maybe you come to that point where you realize that if I keep hanging with the same people that I've been hanging with, if I've been dealing with the same friends I've been dealing with, if I keep acting the way I've been acting, that my future might come to a halt. And you want to dedicate your life to God, all you got to do is raise your hand. You don't have to walk. All you got to do is raise your hand. All you got to do is raise your hand. All you got to do is raise your hand. If you want to be saved today, all you got to do is raise your hand. If you want to rededicate your life and you simply just want to be prayed for, you know God, you are saved, but you're immersed in a culture that makes it hard to do right. If you just want to rededicate your life and be prayed for, come on up. Come on. Boys, raise your hand. If you just want to raise your hand, I can meet you.